welcome back to the Attack Wrap studio. I'm your host, Nick Kennedy, and today I'm joined by Owen Sound Attack head coach Greg Walters. Greg, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I understand you go by Wally on ice there. I've been getting a little bit of that.
Most of the boys call me Wally. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Well, something that I noticed, I've been trying to get to your practices, take in a little bit, and talked a little bit with assistant coach Sean Tico last week about one of his tells, right? He's got the forward hat,
yeah,
and then backwards hat Tico. We noticed he's a whole different coach.
Oh yeah. You turn the hat backward. That's game on there. Yeah.
Yeah, we see that, just that swagger level, the compete level. It goes way up there.
Yeah, for sure.
We've been kind of watching. Like, is there a tell here? What does a head coach have? What does he do? And anyway, we were sitting over in the stands there, and one of the guys had said, he goes, you know how we all know that Wally's on the show today? I said, no, how? He goes, fresh haircut. So
that's right.
We appreciate
right from my buddy at Chatters, for sure.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate the fresh cut. Appreciate you on the show today. We're
thanks.
Looking forward to kind of diving into a little bit of your history, a little bit of the team this year, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the structures and all that is to come. So, I guess, let's just kind of start. What does it feel like? How much does that mean to you, just knowing you have a team like that knows you well, that can see the fresh haircut and go, I know what he's doing later?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, the boys had a good laugh today, and, I'm trying to get younger and mix and match with them, and they had some good jokes, but for the most part I got good reviews, so we'll be all right.
Excellent. Well, you're entering your third season here with the Attack, and it's poised to be a good season. You got a lot of great pieces here. Do you find that your style of coaching, does it change when you're entering a team that maybe at kind of the beginning of one of those cycles that, that turnover rate in the OHL is fairly high with players are leaving every year, coming every year. You find a year like this where you've got an established team, very few new faces coming in. Does that change your style of coaching?
No, I think I've always, people say they have a style of coaching, but you have to, first give me the players that I'm going to have, and then we'll figure out the best style for that team. Obviously, Dale and I, DeGray, have been on the same page since day one. We like, guys that play hard and physical, that have good brains and can skate. So, from going from my first year here with 13 rookies, and having a great year, and just watching those kids grow into, really good players that are now, have been drafted to the NHL and who are at NHL training camps, and now who are our leaders on our team. It's a real pleasure to see them grow as young men, and off the ice, our character is off the charts with, the type of kids that Dale brings in, and it's led by, the Barlows, Sedleys, Gwendons, Burrows. They're just unbelievable kids, and they just show the young guys how it's done every day and what it takes to be an Owen Sound Attack. So, that way I've been really lucky.
Mm-hmm. And to have a coach like yourself that, spent those 3 years in the OHL and even got up to, over a point a game kind of player. What does it take to do that in today's OHL versus the OHL of old?
Yeah, I think it's the same. I think you just hope that, my first year in the OHL, I think I had 36, and then, you go up, and you just hope that, these kids are maturing, and it's a tough league. You come in at, we were talking with Nico Addy today, and he's stressing out about, what it's going to take him to get points, and he's 16. I said, buddy, this is a tough league. Like, you gotta do the right things on the ice, and as you see, like the guys that take care of themselves off the ice usually are the ones that are going to have success. And the Petrosky, Gwendon, Barlow, Sedley, like they've all take take real good care of themselves off the ice and they're students of the game, and they practice hard, and they're having success. So as they get older, they're going to have more success in the league and become, back to, when they're minor midget year, you hope they're 19 now, and being the older guys in the league, that they'll have the same success.
Yeah, sure. And in your final OHL there, you're going 90 points, 63 games.
Yeah.
Incredible. Getting coached, in Ottawa, Brian Killer, like what was that like to be coached by such a Hall of Fame coach, and now being a coach yourself, do you find yourself thinking back to those years and just going, man, what did I learn there, and how do I apply that to head coaching?
Yeah, for sure. And, Killer was, he's obviously, the winningest coach in junior history, and you take so much from him. And to be honest, just, any time I've ever gone back into Ottawa to coach a game, he's down in the room and he's waiting for me to talk. So it's the coaching goes a lot above just being a player, but a mentor off the ice, and really caring about these these kids. So that was awesome. I was so lucky to turn pro and play for Mark Crawford. I played for John Tortorella. I played for Bruce Boudreau. I played for Joel Quenneville. Those are, you take sort of something that you like from each of them and sort of, then go on and turn it into your own.
Sure. And, not only played for, famous coaches, but played with coaches as well there. Yeah. You had Sheldon and all sorts of guys like that. And I think then later kind of coached with him in some national stuff as well.
Yeah, and he's been great. Obviously, we did the World Junior team for Tier 2 at the time. We were both coaching Tier 2 hockey, and I got the head coaching job, and Sheldon was the owner and GM and the head coach in Pembroke, and he put his name in for the job, and I was like, this guy's awesome. So we've kept that friendship. And he involves me with their stuff on a day-to-day basis, and I'm able to get down to the room and watch their practices and games. So Sheldon's been huge for me for my coaching and learning, and keep going forward.
Amazing. You see a lot of these kind of like yourself, maybe a bit of a firecracker player, maybe hard-nosed, few penalties, more, even more defensive style winger.
Yeah.
You see a lot of those kind of players go on to become coaches. Is there something about that style of play that gives you a more well-rounded look at the game?
Well, like I said, I put up some numbers in the OHL, and then, when I turned pro, it's a tough league, so I started fighting a lot. So I called myself a bookmark. I ended up, when you're a forward and you end up beside the D, and you sit there for a while, so you just start listening to both coaches and what's going on. So until it's your turn to go out. So, I just, learned the game, and I'm saying, I really want to be a coach at the end of my career, and started to take that forward.
Wow. And, I was looking at a lot of stuff about your career here, and I think the one thing that stood out the most among all of that was a year, not just a player, not just a coach, but a player coach there in Port Huron with the Border Cats.
Reggie Dunlop.
What was that like? How do you balance those two? They're so drastically different. How do you do that?
Yeah, it was, back, I was playing in the IHL at the time, and there was no veteran rule, so the league was folding, and, well, not folding, they were combining it with the American Hockey League, and you're only allowed 6 guys on each team that played over 250 games pro. So the IHL was end loaded. So we started looking and said, do I want to keep playing? What can I do? So I ended up, to make a little bit more money, I ended up signing in Port Huron, and because I wanted to get into coaching, and so keep playing, but also be, a leader to the young guys coming up. So that was a lot of fun.
Very cool. We're looking kind of towards that national experience as well, and yourself winning a silver medal there with the junior Canadians, and just an amazing accomplishment. Do you feel like, does that sort of taste of victory, does it stay with you? Like, do you crave that year in and year out, just getting that fix?
Yeah, for sure. And every year we start, the end goal is to win a championship, and that's what you strive, and that's what you push these kids to do, on a day-to-day basis. And listen, it's hard to win. It really is. And I was lucky enough to coach Canada, the under 17s, and bring home a silver medal, which was pretty cool. So look forward to winning here in Owen Sound and bring back those memories of 2011, and you watch everything that's gone through, and you just want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I'm relatively new to town here, and I don't think I've had a single conversation about the attack that doesn't talk about those 2011 days, and so I know people are pretty excited, and that's a good place to be, absolutely. And exciting too, having a player like Carter George, who now has a little bit of national experience and comes home with a gold medal. Like, man, how much does that inspire confidence from you now, knowing that you've got a tandem that you feel like just you can rely on these guys? Yeah,
and obviously for Georgie, what a great experience, and for him to start out as the backup guy and then take over and end up winning a gold medal for your country. Like, it's amazing, and he's such an amazing kid, and his ceiling is so high, and he just comes to work every day. The boys want to play in front of him, and he's definitely a lot of fun to coach, and we think that we have the right duo to do some serious damage this year in the OHL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just looks like he's playing with that new level of swagger in practice today, and right at the end they're just kind of playing around with skills, and you see those breakaway practices, and I think it was Gores coming in on him, and he you can see George just. He takes himself out of position on purpose just to flash the leather. And he gets him on the goal line, and I saw, Hookie, all these guys are just hollering. And so that, that level of swagger, like, man, it's got to be exciting for the team, too, to play in front of.
It's so, and he's so calming. He's such a calm force back there, with his rebound control, and just his movements are just, he reads the play, and he's there before most guys are shooting. So he started last year, and Kobe's and Georgie was an underage and being called up, and Kobe said, I bet you $50 that I'll get 3 out of 10 goals on you on a shootout. And George looks at him and goes, good luck. Kobe Barlow, like 50-goal guy, but it's so funny to see his confidence, and it's not cocky at all. He's just confident in himself.
So that kind of brings me to a question then. As a head coach, when you're going into a practice, you have to balance the confidence of the players, the confidence of the goalie. When you're looking at a practice, do you prefer just players potting everything and just lighting it up, or do you want to see the only 2 goalies just lock it down? Players can't seem to score on in practice at all. What is preferable? Does it affect like confidence going into games at all as well?
It is tough. It is tough, and it's kind of twofold there. You're like, our boys, light them up some days. You're like, oh my God, like, what's going to happen Friday night and whatever. But it kind of goes back and forth, and obviously you want to see your guys scoring goals, but you also want to see us defending, and Corbin and Georgie making saves back there. So it's twofold for a coach.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit just kind of about your structure. We got a chance to talk a little bit with Darren last week about some of the structure he would bring into the team, being the new assistant coach there. But yourself, being talking about that defensive mindset that you have, that kind of that passion towards defensive play.
Yeah.
How do you impart that on a team? Like when you bring that with you, how do you help the team become more defensive?
Well, I think it's honestly, for me and for our staff. It's there's two games going on the ice, and it's one when we have the puck and one when we don't, and you better play just as hard at both. And for the young kids coming in, they've never been taught how to defend. They've never been taught how to your rush coverage rules, your D zone rules, and right down to face-offs. It's it's a lot of learning for these young guys, and that's where you lean heavily on your leadership, because Gwendolyn was that guy, and I was extremely hard on him as a young guy, and he wasn't picking up, and then all of a sudden then you see it just click, right? And now he's playing hard with both ends of the rink. So really it's just making sure that they understand that it's a trust factor, and if I can trust you going on the ice, that we're not going to get scored against, the ice time's available for you. So we kind of say from the red line to our goalie is mine, and nothing changes there. And from the red line to their net, that's your fun zone, and go use your creativity and make sure that we're doing the right things offensively to score goals.
Speaking of creativity, when you guys are working on breakouts there, and Harry Nancy kind of gets that puck coming and flips it up, and he's got the player streak, and he knocks it against the board just over your head there.
Right over.
I see you crack that smile there. Like, man, how important is that in a player? Just to he seems to have an ability to worm his way into people and just kind of bring out those smiles and those laughs.
Yeah, he's been great, and like I said, all the credit goes to Digger and the scouting staff. Really excited about all our young kids, and obviously Nico Addy got a suspension there, but his upside is tremendous. 6'4", 215 pounds at 16 years old. He shoots it like a pro already. Jake Crawford's been he could be one of my favorite players already.
Wow.
Just his work ethic and his attention to detail and his commitment to defending and how hard he works. And then you got Nance, he just makes plays under pressure. And then that's the biggest thing we talk to our guys about in the difference of playing minor hockey or the OHL. You have to make plays under pressure.
Yeah.
And the best players find a way to do it, and Nancy's found a way already, and the veterans see that, and they're asking to play with him. So it's fun, So we're really excited about our young guys.
Yeah, I know Dale and I were talking a couple of episodes ago now just about Harry, watching him at camp and taking that puck along the boards by the blue line, gets around three guys, scores just an amazing goal. And you see guys like Barlow, Seti, they're jumping up, they're excited. It feels like it's going to be a fun year of hockey to watch. Like one of those ones you just don't want to miss a game of.
Yeah, I really believe that. I mean, our kid, like I've talked about our leadership and our dressing room, and there's not one bad kid. Like they're all in it for the right reasons. They all want to get better. Listen, I'm hard on them in practice, but my door is open 24/7 to them, and we have to have fun, and we try to make it fun for them, and that they want to come to the rink every day and enjoy it.
Well, and you can see that even just in the players' reactions. Like, I watched a couple of guys and they got a few turns at a drill, and it was time for them to get off, and you can just see like they want to stay on, they want to keep drilling, they want to keep practicing, and just an amazing culture around that. Like how much does that just being a student of the game, passionate to learn, passionate to get better, how much does that impact practices and then games?
Yeah, it's that's everything, and anything in life, right? So, like I said, we're really lucky with the players we have, and definitely the leadership who shows these kids every day what it takes, and more importantly, they know from their experience of playing under me as young guys, of what it took them until they got to play a lot, and they're teaching the young guys every day. These kids we've had 7 guys gone for the last 2 weeks, but they were around for almost 2 weeks before they left to camp, and these kids are like, oh my God, like they take care of their body, they're stretching, they're eating properly, they're working out, and it's you can't take anything away from the guys that go to NHL camp and come back and give it to our young guys so that they can have the best opportunity to get there.
Right. Yeah. Do you find that as those 7 guys are away, are you leaning more on the overagers, like the Gores, the Burrows? Are you kind of like really just hoping that they kind of help with that, that kind of when the coaches are gone sort of development to these guys? Yeah, and it's not, they have to, or they're not going to be here, right? And they've learned that being under me for 3 years. This is their team now, right? And whether I'm in the room for 5 minutes or 10 minutes top a day, it's my message being delivered to the team and especially the leadership group, that when I leave, that message is being sent. Right. And it is. Our kids are unbelievable. I want to talk a little bit about your practice structures, and as I was thinking and just kind of dwelling on some of these things that you had talked about, becoming a defensive team and drilling these on the, with the puck, without the puck kind of situations. I've begun to notice, these drills will happen, and you'll start with maybe 2 and 2, and then you'll do phases, and you'll bring in another player. And is that just kind of teaching these kids, to be these all-round, well-rounded players like yourself, when you got to be that bookmark and you're hearing it from both ends? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, and that's what we try to tell our kids, that we want practice to be extremely hard and competitive, that by the time we come to the games, it makes it easy and they're not thinking. So, every drill that we do is game situation drills, and they'll find themselves, the young guys, some of them pick it up right away. Some take a little bit longer, but the drills will happen, and then they'll end the game, they're like, oh, I did that in practice. So, as a coach, I always know if somebody's thinking too much because their feet stop. Okay. So, and that's the last thing that we want, right? So when they're moving freely and it just becomes repetition because we practice so hard that it flows right into the game, and that's what we're looking for.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I've got a question for you, and it's just really more out of my own curiosity. I don't know if everybody watching is interested in this, but I noticed when kind of drilling special teams, you bring that net in, right? You go the 2/3 just inside the blue line towards center. Is there a reason that, when you're drilling the offense, you're actually shooting on the net that's brought in versus the one that's still where it needs to be in that crease?
Yeah, so that drill was more of teaching our kids how to accept rems and what's happening when a D pinches on them, and how we're going to break out if we do have to rim the puck. But again, it changes from that's the number one thing of it, and then we go into making plays under pressure and getting open and making sure we have the guy at the net, and and getting into our O-zone play, but only against 3 guys, so that they can start to see it and have success, and which hopefully it translates in the game.
Okay, very cool. Yeah. I'm glad. I was just sitting there. Yeah. I wondered, there's a perfectly good net right there. Okay. Yeah. Well, if I ask anything, you feel like you're gonna have to get into some of that secret behind the door stuff, just cut me right off. If you're watching from another team, turn this program off. I'm a curious guy, so I just can't help it.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm really curious. I talked a little bit. Tico Rumble gave us some answers on this. How do you judge a practice as successful or unsuccessful? We find that games are, I'm not going to say cut and dry, black and white. There's a W, there's an L. Yeah. Sometimes it's a fluky dub or a hard fought L. Yeah. There's pros and cons to it. Yeah. But how do you take a practice where there's no result at the end of it, on a scoreboard? Yeah. And how do you go, that was a successful practice, or no, that wasn't?
Yeah, so through the week we have different, themes, and as the season goes on, we have to work on different things. Coming back today, it was all like working on our breakout in D zone and making sure that that we have 5 guys on the same page on both, and making sure we're returning to 5 positions so that we can get out of our zone and then create into offense. So really, like, judging today's practices, was our D zone good enough, and were our forwards in the right places for our D, who are under a tremendous amount of pressure in today's game with the forechecks, that we can get out of our zone quick enough to the end result, which all these kids want, is offense. Yeah. If we don't come back to don't have a good breakout, how are we going to create offense? Or how are we, do you guys want to defend all night, right? Then we need a way to get out of that D zone to create offense. So that's how we preach it to our kids. If you want to score, we got to get the puck back. Right. And here's what we're kind of doing.
Great. Yeah, no, that totally fits. It's that all well-rounded player. And, watching practice, I know, head coaches, you don't get an opportunity to brag about yourself often. So I'll do it for you.
Never would.
We sitting there watching practice, and got to be hard on the guys. It makes total sense. But I see that moment where, players maybe, something doesn't quite happen the way you're hoping it does. And you kind of balance that, maybe having to talk in front of the whole team, or like today, you kind of just go over to the bench and just have a good conversation with these guys, and it doesn't have to be this big thing in front of the team.
No.
How do you manage that? How do you manage those players in that?
Yeah, it's tough, and you have to kind of remember, like, who you're yelling at, and then if you do happen to yell, then I want to praise that kid the next time he does something something really, really good. So you can't be beating these kids down all the time. So it's if they do something bad, I'm always looking for them to do something that I really like, and then I'm like, okay, great job, right? And then you scream it, and then he's feeling good about himself, and the last thing we want is our guys holding their stick tight. Listen, hockey's a game of mistakes, and what we tell our guys is we're going to make mistakes. We just have to make less than the opposing team. And that's why we practice the way we do.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that. That's very helpful, and of course, got to have a chance to brag about the head coach. So I'll take any opportunity I can on this show to brag about the
Thank you.
The
thank
guest.
you so much. I'll give you your $100 after.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into a break here in a moment. Before we do have a trivia question for you, and there will be a prize. So make sure you text in to the number that'll be on screen after the break. The trivia question for this week is, which NHL team drafted our head coach here, Mr. Greg Walters? And the prize will be tickets to the home opener here at the Bayshore against Barrie. So think about it, don't Google it, and text in right after this break.
It was a long time ago.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Understanding human nature can be a superpower.
The first 48 hours are critical.
What kind of idiot are you?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your Attack Rap host, Nick Kennedy. We're looking forward to next week's episode, next Tuesday here on Rogers TV at 7 p.m. We're going to be inviting head coach Greg Walters onto the show, so make sure you set your PVR boxes there, get it in your calendar, and we are looking forward to next week's episode. We'll see you then.
What kind of show do you want to see on Rogers TV? What interests you? Log on to rogerstv.com, fill out a show proposal, and tell us about your segment idea. We want to know what you want to see. Rogers TV, only on Rogers.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not yet texted in your answer to today's trivia question, which is which NHL team drafted head coach of the Owen Sound Attack, Greg Walters, you will have an opportunity to do so. The first answer to get it correct will get tickets to this weekend's home opener against Barrie. It'll be, I believe, 7 o'clock Saturday there at the Bay Shore. We're excited. Ice is all in, sand is all out. That was a whole lot of sand to deal with, and horses and all sorts of stuff going on there. But you guys are back. Does it feel good to just kind of be back in the arena again, not having to be down at that rec center is so cold.
Yeah, it's chilly. It's chilly. Obviously, it's a great facility. Obviously, we like to be at home and not get half dressed and get in our truck, especially in February and March around here. But we're excited to be back. The ice, getting the ice back and getting it skated on and getting better, and then obviously with the guys starting to trickle back in from the NHL, it's been a great atmosphere around our dressing room for sure.
Yeah. So you got a chance to coach kind of all over the place. You were doing pro coaching, doing all sorts of stuff like that, and you ended up leaving and moving to the Georgetown Raiders. And in that what was it, your second year there? I think you guys go all the way to finals or second round or something like that. You end up
winning. It was a lot of fun.
Coach of the year, what an honor that must be. Is that one of those things, like, do you keep a plaque in the office? Do you keep a trophy? What did they give you for that?
It was pretty cool. We got a plaque and whatnot, but I was lucky enough to retire and get right into the OHL in Sarnia for 8 years. And it was a tough go there, and you kind of learn different ways, but I kind of learned what not to do down there, and things were going great, and I was married with 2 kids, and my wife wanted to move back to Toronto to be closer to our family, and she was the breadwinner at the time. I told Sarnia I'm going to take a step back here and move home to be with my kids, and ended up taking over Georgetown, and had a great experience. Stayed there for another 8 years, and so now I'm 16 years coaching, and it's been 2 teams, and I was able to watch my kids grow and be home at night for them, and I wouldn't change that. And I was GM and head coach there, so I was kind of doing figuring out what the next steps were once my kids got on to university and college, and then take another run at the OHL.
And so, being at Georgetown, I know Teeks played there as well. Were you guys just missed each other, am I right there?
Yeah, I didn't coach. He played the year before, and then left. But Sean and I coached against each other. He was coaching in North York at the time, so we coached against each other through those years. Yeah.
You got a couple of coaches on the team now that you've got that history with. New goaltender coach. You get one in, you lose one. But you got Paul now. What's that like? Just having him back from those old Oshawa days.
Yeah, it was awesome. Oshawa was a different situation, but my first year in there, we went to the conference finals and ended up losing to a very good Ottawa team. But got to know Gibby and was a part of hiring him, and we became great friends. And he's an amazing goalie coach, and more importantly, a great person. So when things the Dale said we were going to go in another direction, I gave Dale, Gibby's contact and just said, this is, I loved him, and you do Dale does all the hiring, but so it was great to get him back here, and obviously kind of the same situation as Oshawa was in. We were a really good team, but we had another year to go in Oshawa where we were going to be really good again. Unfortunately, COVID knocked that out, but I know that Gibby will do great things with Corbin and Georgie.
Excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a winner here. I'm just getting it radioed in right now for the tickets there. We'll just get the name. We got Joanne Wepler. So congratulations, Joanne. You've won the tickets. So great. The answer. Do you want to spoil the answer for us here?
Sure. Yeah, sure. It was back in 1990. Was drafted to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Excellent. Yeah. So, congrats to Joanne. You're going to the game on Saturday. If you've already got tickets, I don't know. You got some more. So that's exciting. Toronto and you were saying a little bit of that pro experience with Newmarket with St. John's there. Yeah. Kind of finding your way around that league a little bit.
Yeah. It was obviously great experience to be able to play 11 years in the American Hockey League and in the IHL, and I wouldn't change anything for anything that happened, because it's a great life, and you work since you're 5 years old to try to make some money at the game, and I was fortunate enough to be able to do that. Not enough, but
sure. Yeah. Coaching might help with that a little bit.
Yeah.
When you were a player coach, they weren't double salaries.
Oh yeah, I was getting good payment there. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, for sure.
Something I've noticed is just that emphasis that you put on players to be strong communicators. Like, you want that strong compete. Yeah. You want that hockey IQ. You want to see them working, moving their feet and thinking. But how big is that communication factor?
Yeah, it's huge, and these kids, and listen, coaching has changed. You see, some of the bad things in the media and what's going on. It's just, you gotta evolve, and you gotta evolve in with today's player and today's kids, and if you can't do it, you're not going to be around very long. So communication is key. Every one of my players will tell you they know how much I care about them, and off the ice, and I can get hard on them, but every time I bring them in, I said, if I'm hard on you, you're not meeting my expectations, and I want this for you, not for me, for you. So I think coaches are there to get that player somewhere where he can't get to on his own. Yeah. And if you just let them make the same mistakes all the time and not be hard on them, you're not making them any better. So, but at the same time, my door's open 24/7 where I'll bring them in after I was hard on them. I said, do you understand? And so I have a great relationship with our players.
Awesome. And, just kind of seeing that, if you don't know, ask kind of mentality that you guys share with the team. Are you looking for teachability in players, and how do you manage a player that for any sort of reason, maybe it's ego, maybe it's they just don't want to speak up. How do you manage maybe that sense of unteachability or not asking those questions?
Yeah, it's hard, and listen, these kids are different these days, and you have to I tell them all, like, I have to be 23 different coaches, because what makes you go is not going to make him go. So if I'm hard on you, you're going to shut it down. So we always, that's the thing about training camp is understanding to getting to know your new players, of how to push them that they're going to have success, and there's so many kinds of different kind of learners of is it a video that they have to see. A lot of guys nowadays just can't listen to what I say and fix it. There are still guys that can, but a lot of times they need to see it on video or whatever. So those are the things that we have to find out about each kid and try to stick to those things for each character guy.
Very cool. I was reading a couple of places you talked about how just the last couple of years, I think last year alone, losing over 200 man games to injury, and just the impact that has on team chemistry, and then being able to come and just see these guys really just they're gelling so well. They look like they're having fun. What kind of impact do those injuries have on a team, especially a junior team that have such limited time together?
Yeah, it is tough, and what we went through last year, and touch wood, and hopefully that doesn't happen again, because it's tough to get through, and not only as a coach, but they're if you're playing center and your left winger is down for 30 games or whatever, it's tough, and it's tough for chemistry and getting line combinations and D combinations and who's playing in net. So. We want to do a great job, off the ice, and is what we do, and we have a great training staff on how to do that. Andy Plater's amazing, and Brownie, they do an amazing job of keeping these guys ready to go and healthy, and half the battle is what they do off the ice, so that we can control the injuries on it.
Right. And you bring up Brownie. I was talking to him at practice yesterday, and brought up part of our conversation with Dale, where we talked about some of those challenges of getting players to Owen Sound. We're the smallest town in the CHL, right? It is a fact that you guys wrestle with as coaches, I'm sure, as well. But hearing Brownie's perspective on it, I was actually very encouraged to hear him. He goes, you got players on this team, and they see each other more than they're going to see each other on any other team.
100%.
They're living within 10 minutes of each other. They're going to the same school. It's nothing like these other teams around the league.
Yeah.
How much does that just aid and impact the chemistry, even maybe through injuries?
Yeah, and that's, again, it's just everything kind of goes back to leadership, and what the Colby Barlows and Sedley and Gwendolins and Burrows have done around here, even since I've got here, and things that they've changed on their own that they didn't like, and they just involve everybody, and it's a pleasure to watch them. Like I said, it's their room, and it's our leaders' room, and they control it, and we, like I said, we're in there maybe 5 minutes a day. Wow. So if you don't have great leadership, and that they're, making sure that the right message is being sent, you're in trouble. And that's where Dale has done an amazing job of bringing in great people.
How do you structure? Do you have a structure for if you're in the room 5-10 minutes, right? Do you have a set outline, a skeleton that you feel? How do you write your sermon to these guys on a day-to-day basis? Yeah,
it's honestly, I'm back in the gym, so I'm working out with them for the most part, the morning guys. So you're always walking through and having conversation. But I'm saying, like, on a if we're going to show video, today's players, if you go over 5 minutes, they start to hear blah blah blah, right? So you have to cut we're watching video all the time, but we have to pick the right clips to show our kids that they're going to get it. So it goes to that. We've Darren Rumble brought in a great thing where we just put video on a reel, and it's playing throughout the day and continuously on our theme for that day, whether it's D zone or breakouts, and we put on reels where it's a great breakout. Okay, this wasn't good. Why? And so it's just on a reel, and you see the kids just go to it, and they're all watching it. So those are our little things that that we have to try to improve every day as well as coaches.
Yeah, I think back to times I played a little bit in university back in Calgary, and I'm wondering if you guys have kind of one of those pre-game I'm thinking back to our team. We would just gather in one of the residence rooms and throw on Datsuk highlights, 15-minute videos, just watching those on repeat. Do you have like a highlight video?
No, none of that. Really, we do, the day-to-day basis is, on a game day, obviously is, Sean Tickle has our power play, so he's prepping them. Darren Rumble has the D and the penalty kill, so he's prepping them, and then I do all the 5-on-5 stuff. So, we try to, not keep them again because of their attention to detail falls off here, right? So, a lot of times we'll do PP in the morning, power play in the morning, so we can get that out of the way, and then, do a PK meeting for 5 minutes, give them a break, and then I'll come in and talk about the 5-on-5 stuff.
So, you've talked about just kind of how players are different now than they were back then. You've got a Colby Barlow now, and maybe you can talk about some of the comparisons and how it was to be a coach to maybe Steven Stamkos, right?
Yeah.
Down there in Sarnia. Do you see a difference in how your style needs to be beyond just the individual stuff, but the culture of coaching, is it different now?
I don't think so. Obviously, the two names, like, these guys are elite players. So we want to make sure that that we're coaching from the bottom up, really. Like, Kobe, went through his tough time with me, and he's up here, and Gwendon went through his time, and he's up here, and Petrosky's and Burrows, and really we want to make sure that the young guys, get them going up to where they're, now it's about trust, and I can trust him now because he understands it. So really, it's and obviously Sean and Darren are taking care of their sections of forward and D and talking with kids. But really, it's just making sure that the guys that are the young guys and the new guys, that they're finding their way to get to the Barlows where I'm not talking to them that much. Right. That's when you're going to have success.
Okay, yeah. Good to know. Well, as we kind of get into this idea about games and kind of talking about pregame and all that coaching that goes along with it, I'm wondering, as from a fan's perspective, when we're in the crowd, when we're watching the game, how much control do you feel like you have over the state of the game, the referees, do you find yourself having to, do you speak up? Does that impact how they make calls? Does that impact how players play when they hear your passion?
Yeah, and that's, one of our rules is I'm the only one that talks to the refs. Okay. And it doesn't always work out that way because, they're kids and they think that they're gonna chirp, but they won't play. They won't play, or they take a minor, but I've never seen a ref change his call, really. No. So it takes a lot for me to to really go off on a referee, and you want to be in their good books, and hopefully you'll get the next call. Really is how I look at it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Over the flow of the game, what's it like being behind the bench when you can just tell there's something not clicking? Yeah. Are you focused now on trying to identify that and change it? Does do you have to kind of almost give over some of the tapping on shoulders, getting guys out there? Yeah. How do you address that mid game, or is that one of those things where you're like, they got to learn and let it burn for the next 5 minutes, and we talk about it at
yeah, no, we're on it, and it's depending on, because we didn't get into, we have pre-scout on, on Guelph before the game, and we're going to show them what they're doing, and then we're, talk about what we're doing, but, teams adapt, right? Mm-hmm. And then we have to adapt to that. So it's kind of like a game of chess for the coaches, right? Yeah. If you can, point out and see, okay, this is what he's trying to do here, we can talk to our kids and take that away. But, usually, the game is the momentum rides are unbelievable, and it takes one big hit or one big save or a goal to change that momentum. So, I think you do go through 10 minutes of time where you're not doing much, you're not playing well. You just try to encourage them and make sure that we're doing the right things away from the puck to get us a chance for offense.
I think back to a story, one of your co-coaches there in Sheldon Keefe, and he tells a story about Spezza in the playoffs, and they go into the dressing room, and he just, as a player, gives this speech to the guys, and it just gives them that boost of momentum that they need going into the next period. Yeah. Do you have guys on the team where after a stinker of a period, I don't have to go into that room because I know they got it? Yeah,
for sure. And that's what I said. The Barlows, the Burrows, the Sedleys, the Gwendons, those guys know what it takes and knows know what went on during that period that we didn't have success. I'm always going to, put my 2 cents in, but very rarely do I go in there and rip the team anymore. And it's kind of an old school thing, but you got to do it once in a while just so they know that Andrew Parrott called it Wally eyes. You never want to see Wally eyes.
Gotcha.
And that's when they go in the back. That's when sticks go flying.
Did former coach Jordan Hill, you also coached him as a kid. He probably got to know the Wally eyes.
Yeah, he did for sure. He did for sure.
Yeah. We were talking Teeks last week. He goes, the coach has three blow-ups kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that one of those things you just kind of keep them in the back pocket?
Just keep them, right? They got to be good ones. They got to be good ones.
That makes sense. Well, hey, I'd love to just kind of chat a little bit about the players. That's what, people want to hear about.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to ask you, we all know watching the show, if you're watching the program, you're a fan of the show, we've got 4 overagers in the program. Yeah. We got 4 overagers. I'm not going to ask you what you think's going to happen.
Yeah.
But maybe you could talk about what kind of just benefit they are to this team, especially when you got, you've really got all these young kids coming up. I think 3, 4, 16-year-olds just there on the ice, and then having these overagers. How big of a benefit is that for these kids to be able to learn from? Yeah,
it's huge, and obviously if we, Sam Sedley's he's gonna be here. Our back end revolves around him, and like we've talked about, our forward group is very strong, and unfortunately, one of those overage forwards aren't going to be here, and that's the bad side of the business, because they're great kids, and it will be a sad day because whoever it is, we're losing a good person and a very good hockey player. So, Seds is so skilled in our back end. We need him back there for sure. He's an unbelievable leader. He does the right things. He's having a great camp in Philadelphia. Yeah. So, and Denny Gore is so dynamic and such a, score, 30 goals, and we still believe that there's a lot more in the tank than 30 for him. But he's really, really improved defensively. He loves our new D-zone coverage. He's been great at it, and he's going to have a big year. Ethan Burrows started off slow through training camp, and then arguably been our best player through the last 2 exhibition games and in practice. And big man Lawrence is, you can't teach 6'6" with skill and toughness. So we're very lucky at this point, and we can keep 4, but we can only play 3 in the game. So one of them, is not going to be happy.
No, totally understand. I don't want to get into all that. I don't want to put you on the spot.
That's Dale's job.
Exactly. We can blame him for that.
Yeah.
So, do you find you got these young kids coming up, right? You've got the Harry who just plays with a level of swagger you don't see many players play with. You see Nico who's coming in 16. I think it was maybe it was Dale saying, if Nico is going to be his biggest critic. Like, he is just a student to the game. You see him every time. He's now right there. He's focused on the board. There's nothing going to take his focus off that. You got, guys like Jake that are just flying everywhere. You can just see they love the game.
They love it.
How much hope do you just have for this new crop? Like, does it just kind of give you that, like, man, like reignited passion for this team? Yeah,
it really has been. Seeing these guys, and we sort of, we're putting our lines together, and you at the start you're like, really, like, Digger and I talked about it. 4 underages on a team that has a chance to win. These kids don't play like underages. Going back to Georgetown, I had 3 15-year-olds playing for us, and we won the championship. One of them was Jack Hughes, so we had 3 15-year-olds, so double underage playing for us right through the playoffs. And then so age is, it is something for sure. But these kids right now are proving to deny the age factor, because they definitely don't play like 16-year-olds.
Sure. And, thinking of guy who certainly doesn't play like a 16-year-old, but doesn't even play like an 18-year-old in Colby Barlow. He's, away at camp right now, but I don't know if you've been keeping up much. Do you guys stay in touch while he's gone? Okay. We know Colby's been down with the flu. Are you hoping to see him get that chance and kind of, I know you're from Calgary originally. Do you want to see him just kind of maybe give it to the Flames just a little bit?
For sure I do. Obviously, he's such an amazing young man, and, has brought so much success to Owen Sound with what he's done with, not only here, but with Hockey Canada, and then being drafted, first round. It's a big thing. It's such a hard thing, but he's such an amazing kid, and you just root for him, and listen, we'll see when he comes back. We haven't heard anything right now, and we just wish him the best every day. Well, signing that contract, for those of you at home, it means Colby could in fact play those 10 games in the NHL if he wanted to in the regular season before he'd need to be sent back, or else they burn a year off of his contract. You can see his stats right there. 59 games played last year, 79 points, a plus 14, 46 goals, 36 assists. Teek said it well last week. It would be great to have him back, but it would be great for him to just make the team right. It's a tough roster to crack. All those pieces they got back from the Dubois trade. You got all those guys there. So, you never know what happens. And of course, I'm sure, like you would say, I'm sure Dale said it, Teek said it as well. You wish him the best wherever he ends up, if it's here, if it's there. But maybe we want him back. Obviously, selfishly we do, but for him, Winnipeg's going to do what's best for him, and if they feel that he's ready to play, then we're ecstatic, and we knew we had a little piece of his success, and he's such an amazing kid that you kind of gained a friend in him from. He's very, very grateful to anybody that's come across his path that's helped him get to where he is today.
Well, Greg, thank you so much for coming on the show here. We're awesome. Just so looking forward to this weekend and getting the game underway. And the Attack will be down in Guelph on Friday to take on the Storm for the season opener. Back here on Saturday for the home game at the Bayshore, playing host to the Barrie Colts. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be live here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. on Rogers TV, and we hope to see you at the Bayshore.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
We can be hurt. We can be bruised. We can be broken. Slowed down, confused, and even numbed. But we can't be defeated. We're built on a foundation that's strong, our mission unwavering, and together we'll beat as one.
Sports fans know Sundays are for football. That's why you need NFL Sunday Tickets. With NFL Sunday Ticket, you'll get every live game, every Sunday afternoon, all